Your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me. This quote is by Bobby Chegwin, also known as Coach Bobby. For people who struggle with accepting others' opinions of them, this is one of the most motivating quotes. This quote encourages critical thinking, self-love, and a deeper understanding of how human relations work. Now let's try to explain it to those who may wonder if these words are even true. Start with yourself. From your early years, you have been to different schools. All the people you have met in life, every possible circumstances that was a part of your life, all the characteristics you were born with, like your character and your physical appearance, it's all shaped into who you are today. Your mind and your interpretation of the world, are affected by everything that makes you who you are. One person's reality is hardly ever what everybody else sees on the outside. It is their impression of what their world looks like. It's their impression what their world looks like. Now, why does this matter? Well, people's perceptions can be messy. All your beliefs, attitudes, views are a part of how you approach new things in life and evaluate new people and new circumstances. When you meet someone, you don't see them for who they are. When you meet someone, you don't see them for who they are. Everything they do or say first goes through this prism of your own experiences, and the final input you get into your mind is already tainted by who you are. Everything the other person does or says first grows through these prisms of your own experiences, and the final input you get in your mind is already tainted by who you are. This means that if you form an opinion of a certain someone, your opinion will be one part input you actually received from them, and the other part input of your own mind. So one part input you actually received from them, and the other part input of your own mind. Seeing something in a person can trigger certain parts of you, the experiences, the emotions, and everything that's a part of your history. Our brains store so much information, and it's a very complex machine. So the way you see someone could be affected even by how your day went before meeting them. Whatever happens during the day, and you suddenly see that person, then this whatever happenings have happened throughout the day will affect your perception of that person. What kind of mood you were in when you first spoke to them, this all defines your perception of that person. Now, people who have a negative opinion of you, that's based on nothing you actually did or said is only proof of what kind of negativity they are carrying inside. We all spend so much time worrying about how other people will react to us and trying to adapt our own values, lifestyle, and personalities in order to feel accepted by others. These words by Coach Bobby Chegwin tell a great truth about how things actually function. It's hard to affect how others think of you unless you intentionally try to speak to certain parts of their mind. It's hard to affect how other people think of you unless you intentionally try to speak to certain parts of their mind. Live your life proud and free to explore, appreciate, and show your authentic self. Knowing that you can't do much to help improve others' opinion of you is freeing. Once you know this truth, you are freed. Knowing that you can't do much to help improve others' people's opinion of you is freeing. There was a yoga instructor. There was a yoga instructor whose class I went to. She was young and had a lot of energy. She was very enthusiastic about the power yoga has to energize you and make you feel good about yourself. She would tell stories about how she had gotten into this profession and how it changed her life and how she had gone on a spiritual journey to India. Every time she spoke, I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't want to get up and leave, but I couldn't handle listening to her anymore, so I eventually stopped going to her classes. I later found out that this woman's mother was dying at that time, but she never mentioned that in any of her classes. She seemed so happy-go-lucky all the time, and this really bothered me. My perception of her was based on my imagination of what her life must be like outside of the class, which created an impression of her that wasn't real. My reaction to that perception was coming from my own self-centric nature. Although it seemed as if my reaction were about her, it was really about me. In a world full of people with their own issues, it's hard to have a positive effect on all people you meet. It's not possible to change them. So don't even try to change them. It will only give you a false sense of hope that only leads to disappointment. Instead, work on yourself and your perception of others. Instead, work on yourself and your perception of others. Your perception of others is a reflection of yourself. You are responsible for your reaction to what happened at the moment. No one else. It's very easy to place blame, but that doesn't change anything. If you blame somebody, it doesn't change anything. The power is in your hands. The power is in your hands because you have control over how you perceive others and react. People's perception of you and the way you are treated is a reflection of your character. Your reaction to them is an awareness of yourself. When conflict arises and people walk away, they don't return with their fists. They return with their true selves. Their true self is their real perception of you, which you may not like, but it is only temporary. Some people believe that if someone doesn't agree with them, then it is because the other person is ignorant or disrespectful. That is not always the case. Sometimes it is just a difference in perspective. People will treat you how they perceive you because they don't know who you truly are. They will treat you how they were taught to treat others. If they were taught to be confrontational and insensitive, then they will be confrontational and insensitive towards you. You can't blame someone for how they were raised or taught as a child because that was out of their control and was done without malice or ill will. You can only blame yourself for how others perceive you because that is something that is within your control and out of another's control. Others' first impression of us are based on our body language and the way we speak. You might have heard the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. What you may not have realized is that your own success in life could be tied to how you dress. They will just see your dress and judge how successful you are. The clothes you wear can affect the way people perceive you. The way you speak, walk and gesture, can affect the way people react to you and how they perceive your intelligence levels. But it's not all about clothes and what they say about you, but rather how you carry yourself that makes a big difference in how others see you. The truth is, how people perceive us based on our own body language and voice tone is largely influenced by our culture. However, we cannot deny that these things do make a difference in how we are perceived. The truth is that how people perceive us based on our own body language and voice tone is largely influenced by our culture. We live in a very diverse world today where cultures and societies celebrate different attributes of their people. Our culture may value intelligence over everything else, while another might focus on physical strength or personality trait. It's important to understand that no matter where we come from or what we might value as an individual, there are some things that just don't fly around the world when it comes to speaking with others. The last thing you want to do is to insult someone or make them feel uncomfortable through your body language or voice tone. How you feel about me is a reflection of you. How you feel about me is a reflection of you. In other words, your negative judgment of me is actually a reflection of what you don't like about yourself. It is not a reflection of me, it's a reflection of you. The reason why I say this today is because I am interested in how you perceive me and how it affects how you feel about yourself. If you think that I am arrogant or full of myself or egotistical, what does that say about you? If I make jokes about my own imperfections and if I am self-depreciating in my humor, what does that say about your sense of humor? If I accept myself as I am and then allow others to accept themselves as they are, what does that say about your ability to forgive others or to love others? I am not saying that you are judging me at all. What I am saying is simply this. When you judge me in any way, shape or form, whether it's good or bad, it's really not good for you because it's really not going to bring out the best in yourself. Self-awareness is essential to recognizing where others get their impression of you and how they react to you. Self-awareness is essential to recognize where others get their impression of you and how they react to you. Understanding how people perceive you can be a huge asset in business, whether it's something as simple as being aware of how your body language impacts others or knowing how to adjust your behavior to better interact with different types of people. Trying to change someone's perception of you requires one thing: understanding that what they think of you. By knowing their thoughts and opinion, you can work towards changing them. People form first impression of other people almost instantly. It happens in a flash, and the first impression is often not far off the mark. The problem is that most people don't realize they are forming an opinion at all. The human mind does this on autopilot, so it's not a deliberate process. If you can catch yourself forming an opinion about someone else, then you can take control of that process and start to edit any negative perception before they become a problem in your personal or professional life.